Alright, today we have a section 11.4, which is just multiplying and dividing rational expressions. It's a lot like 11.3, except for you're going to multiply. And you're multiplying fractions, and if you think back to how you would multiply fractions, I'll give you a quick example. 3 over 4 times 1 over 2. You multiply straight across. So these two would get multiplied and these two would get multiplied. So really, you don't even need that to be two fractions. You can make it into one fraction, and the tops and bottoms are just multiplied, which makes this whole process we're going to do today a lot easier. Okay? Well, the first example we're going to do is, once again, where you just cross things out and simplify up and down because there's no plus or minus signs. It's all monomials. The second example, on the other hand, has the plus and minus signs, so we're going to end up factoring. And you're going to take each individual piece and see if you can factor it, and then we're going to simplify things down, a lot like we did yesterday. Basically, it's questions like yesterday with a multiply sign in them, and then we'll have division ones, which is one extra step, and then it's just multiplying and basically doing what we did before. So this first example, really I don't need to have this division symbol or this multiplication symbol in here. I can just do that and then think about that and that being multiplied. Now I can simply simplify. So if I do the 9 and the 3 and I simplify those, I divide them both by 3, I get 1 over 3. Now I don't have to worry about the 9 or the 3 anymore. Then I move on to my next part. So let's do the r's. So I'll deal with the r's. So I have r squared on top and I have r on the bottom. Once again, I subtract the powers. 2 minus 1, I'm left with a 1. The bigger power was on top, so I put my r on top. And it's to the first power, so I don't need to write that. Next piece would be your x, which is hiding right in here. There's no x's on the bottom, so I end up with an x as part of my answer. And finally, I have the t's. I have t to the third, and I have t to the fourth. The 4 is once again on top, so my answer should end up on the top, or this part of the answer. 4 minus 3 is 1, so I end up with t. So I now have it simplified. I'm just going to rewrite it so it looks a little bit better. r x t over 3. And usually we want to put them in alphabetical order. So let's put them in alphabetical order. So r t x over 3. And that would be your simplified answer for this one. Once again, you have nothing to factor apart. It's just simplifying. The multiplication really doesn't change a whole lot compared to what we did yesterday. The next example, we have individual things to factor. So I'm going to start up here. We're going to factor that part. Remember, we need to do the two sets of parentheses. You have a y in front, a y in front. I need to multiply to -4, add up to -3. If I multiply to -4, I would probably need a 4 and a 1. And I need them to add up to -3, so that means my 4 needs to be the negative piece. I'm done with that part. If I look at this y plus 5, there's nothing I can do to that, so that's part of my next step. Once again, I don't really need that multiplying in there, so I'm just going to make my line go longer. I can't do anything to this y plus 5 either, so I'll put that in parentheses, put it on top. Let's put this one in parentheses as well. And finally, I need to deal with this little piece. Well, this one, all I can really do is I can take a y out, which means I'm going to be left with y minus 4. So down here, I'm going to put y, parenthesis, y minus 4. Now I go back. Is there anything I can cross off that's exactly the same? And there obviously is, or I wouldn't be asking the question. But there's going to be things that should cross off. So these go away. These go away. Remember, they're simplifying down to 1. So if you would cross off everything on top or everything on bottom, you would end up with a 1 in that position. So my numerator is now y plus 1, and my denominator is y. Because there's a plus sign on top, I can't simply cross out those y's, so this is your solution. We now have our solution to multiplying a rational expression. Next, we are going to find the quotient, and think about when you would divide fractions. 1/3 divided by 3/4. You would switch or reciprocate these two and change this to a multiply. So you'd put 1/3 times 4/3, and then you'd multiply straight across again. We do the same thing in this type of question. So we're going to simply take these two, flip them over, and change that to a multiply. y squared plus 10y plus 25. You could save yourself a step and break some of this apart right away, but for the sake of a tutorial video, I'm going to show you it step by step. So we end up with that. As you notice, all that happened is my division changed to a multiply, and my second fraction flipped over. Alright, let's try one piece. So let's start up here. Can we factor that? Well, yes, we can. We're going to factor it. I get y and y. This is now exactly like the last two questions. The only thing that was different, we had to reciprocate or flip the second fraction to change it into a multiply question. So we have a 5 and a 5. They are both addition. If I multiply those, I get 25. If I add them, I get 10. Perfect. That's exactly what I needed. Let's make a big fraction bar. If we look at this y minus 3, that stays the same. Can't do anything to that. If I do this, the only thing I can do is pull a 3 out. So I take a 3. I divide 3 by 3, and I end up with y. I divide 9 by 3, and I get 3. And last, I can deal with this y plus 5, which is actually just going to be y plus 5 again. Now, as before, I can go through and I can cross off anything that is the same on top and bottom, numerator and denominator. So y plus 5 goes away, y plus 5 goes away. Y minus 3 goes away, y minus 3 goes away. The only thing left on top is y plus 5. And this doesn't always happen where you only end up with one thing. You could have multiple. You just put them in parentheses and put them next to each other. And on the bottom, we just have a 3. Let's make that look a little bit better. But it's a 3 on the bottom, and that would be your solution. So division is really not any different than multiplication after you do that one initial step.